first case returning since COVID.
Oh, wow.
So it was an interesting, like, flowing dynamic. Everything was different than what they're used to. They had us in the downstairs lounge as opposed to like the jury deliberation box, which is I think adjacent to the court room at King County.
Yeah,
back there.
I think you're correct. So so you guys were in where that cafeteria was.
Yes.
And you kind of like socially distanced. From
Yes.
it? Okay.
Yeah. It was cool,
Wow.
man. It was cool. They fed us too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was good. I was hungry as shit. I was like, oh my god.
They have snacks there all day too, right?
Well,
Or maybe not anymore. I don't know.
they so we had donuts and bagels and coffee before during like the orientation process. Then they gave us a box lunch, and then when we came back downstairs, they had just like bags of granola bars and Kit Kats and stuff like
Oh,
that.
nice.
Yeah, little the peanut butter crackers, that kind of thing.
Those snacks
So-
come in handy at like 2, 3 p.m.
Brother,
when you're just staring at the.
they did.
Clock.
Oh yeah, because that's the thing about it. It is so boring. It's mind-numbingly boring. But then it's just peaks of cool stuff like that you
Yeah.
don't know what's gonna happen. Like, all right, line up, and then you walk in and you feel important because it's like, all rise for the jury, and then you're like, oh shit, yeah, that's us, right?
It's very official, and you learn a lot too
I did.
in that process.
I did.
You learn a lot because not everyone goes to court. Before I became an attorney, I never went to court once in my whole life.
Really?
I never went to court.
I mean, that's good. But
Yeah,
Right,
I, mean,
yeah.
so I had no idea what to expect
Yeah.
going to court. I still remember my first day in court. Maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
we are
think,
gonna
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah,
that. Yeah,
that's
hell yeah.
something. That's great.
Your first
But,
day in court.
But yeah, I mean, it's a great experience to see how the process works.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. The person yesterday represented himself as opposed to having representation. I don't know how good that went for ultimately. Yeah.
You know.
Totally not a
Yeah.
good
Stick with what
idea.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
The judge does give pro se. I mean, at some point, they could probably take some objection to what they're saying, but they give a lot of leeway to pro se.
How we looking?
Oh, you guys are talking on live.
Okay.
Oh, we're good?
Let's run. Let's run with it. All right, let's go in. Here we go.
Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Feels good now.
We get to meet him.
Good morning, Aurora. I am Brenda Rogers, candidate for Kane County Recorder of Deeds. As your next Recorder of Deeds, I will protect our taxpayers' investment, bring awareness to the position, and do outreach to our residents and veterans. I am asking for your vote during early voting, mail-in ballot, or on November 3rd. Vote for Brenda Rogers, Kane County Recorder of Deeds, paid for by Citizens for Brenda Rogers.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The time is now 8:10 a.m., and you are tuned in to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. And we have a great interview today. The Law of Acting with our friend, our brother, dear friend of the show, Mr. Ameya Patankar.
Good morning, everyone.
Right.
Thank you for having me.
Good to be back. Good to be back. Your favorite morning show is done with jury duty, so we back today, y'all. I got my co-host Christine here.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Hunter behind the boards, JV behind the second boards, and our dear friend Monica as well is in the studio. All right. So, without any further delay, the news.
All right. We have the Run for Hunger 5K coming up. From now until the 30th of this month, a virtual run to alleviate hunger in our community. All proceeds will be donated to Marie Wilkinson's Food Pantry. Hashtag Run for Hunger 5K. For more information and to sign up, you can go to www.runforhunger5k.com. And that's brought to you by El Tiro, Society 57, and more. Shout out to MedHat over at State Farm as well. Also, the Call for Art, Sugar Skull City. It's a month-long celebration in downtown Aurora. It celebrates and honors the cultural and local tradition of Day of the Dead. To coincide with First Fridays and Day of the Dead activities on November 6th, Sugar Skull City promotion and activities will run from October 15th through November 15th. Artists, community members, youth, and families are invited to honor the Mexican tradition of Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos, holiday by creating an unframed 12 by 18 work depicting a sugar skull that can be displayed in business windows in downtown Aurora. More information can be found on auroradowntown.com, and you can find out how to participate. auroradowntown.org, and you can find out how to participate in that as well. Good Morning Aurora Sports is near today.
Oh, snap.
Yesterday, the Cubs beat the Pirates 5-0. The White Sox lost 7-4 to the Indians. And also, did you know that Michael Jordan is entering a new sport?
Really?
He is.
What?
He is going to be a co-owner in NASCAR with Denny Hamlin next year.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's big.
And Bubba Wallace is going to be on their team. He's going to be their driver.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Shout out to Michael Jordan
awesome.
and NASCAR. Never thought I'd ever say that in my life. Holy cow.
Those two just go together.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
And so it's the first day of fall. There is no fall football in Illinois for youth sports.
That's right.
And it's time for the weather.
Time for the weather. All right. Current temperature is 50 degrees with a high of 80 today. That high will be reached around 4 o'clock p.m. Tomorrow will be partly cloudy. I don't know why I said the part like that. Tomorrow will be partly cloudy, also with a high of 80. Downtown Aurora businesses take on Hunger Action Month. As you already know, you've been hearing us say it, September is Hunger Action Month, also known as HAM. All right. The month-long campaign brings awareness to hunger in the community and offers ways for community members to contribute to both Aurora Interfaith Food Pantry and Marie Wilkinson's Food Pantry. Aurora Interfaith Food Pantry is hosting Carts for a Cause, and several downtown businesses are taking part in that. All right. Now, in addition to that, you've heard about Altiro. Altiro's at it again. They will donate 10% every Monday of September from 3 to 8 p.m. on orders of Al Poblano Tapa and Al Organica. Massacred that Spanish. Oh, my God. I'm sorry to all the Latino listeners out there. Organica cocktail or a fresh squeezed lemonade. Shout out to Gary Brown Art and Studio Gallery, Gillerson's Grubbery, La Quinta de los Reyes, McCarty Mills, Treadwell Coffee, Society 57, and the Cottonseed Creative Exchange at 8 North Broadway. Cottonseed and Society 57 will have donation boxes for Marie Wilkinson's Food Pantry all this month. Treadwell is featuring Marie's Herbal Tea for the month. And McCarty Mills, big shout out. Devin, Alvin, what's going on? The fam over there, we love you. McCarty Mills, big shout out. They will donate 10% of sales of Reserved Keg from Brother Chimp. And the beer of the month over there is For the Masses IPA. Also, shout out to Jen Ingram Arts. That was just on my mind. Also, Viso Arts, Roots Aurora, and the Aurora Public Art Commission are coming together to present the Aurora Stronger exhibit, A Community That Came Together. Friday, October 2nd from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Gallery 1904 at 1 East Benton in downtown Aurora. Now, what that is going to be is a showcase of all of the art, primarily of the downtown Broadway area on the boards that was there to beautify everything in the wake of the protesting and looting of stores. They'll be displaying all of that artwork. So shout out to Viso Arts, shout out to Roots Aurora, and also shout out to our friends, the Aurora Public Art Commission. And that's the news. So now let's get into the law of acting. Let's do that. Let's talk about it. Ameya, good to see you, brother.
Good morning.
Glad you're back,
How are you
man.
guys?
Glad you're back.
Yeah,
Glad you're back.
Thank you very much for having me today.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to hear that you guys wanted me on, and
Of course.
it's an honor.
Yeah, definitely.
We got to meet you when Monica came on, and then we found out all the amazing things that you're doing within not only law, but then also acting.
Yeah, I mean, it's my sister has really pushed me in law and acting to put to really dig in deep. With law, learn about the facts of the case, really listen to your client. She has kind of set the precedent on work ethic in our law firm,
Mm-hmm.
And then with acting, my sister is so dedicated to all the things that she's involved in outside of law, and that kind of rubs off on me with acting because it takes so much dedication to learn a script, whether it's one page, even a one-line acting job can be difficult because you have to analyze the one line and say it correctly, right? And there's so many interpretations of just a one-line scene that you could get.
Didn't think about that.
Yeah. So even one-liners, you'd think they would be really easy to do, and those could be the ones that are the most mind-bending. And I've had auditions for one-line roles,
Mm-hmm.
and those can be really nerve-wracking. So
All right. So here's your one-liner. Tell people who you are and where you're from.
Yeah, sure. Well, my name's Ameya Patankar. I grew up in Naperville, Illinois, which is obviously very close to Aurora. I went to University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign for undergrad. I attended St. Louis University for law school, and then I did a one-year master's program at Northwestern specializing in just taxation. So that's kind of like my educational background. I practiced law downtown Chicago for 3 years, and then the path to life has brought me to work with my sister, who had started her law firm, Piccone and Patankar PC, with Gary Piccone, the other partner of our law firm, in 2014. I joined in 2016. What I did downtown was so different from what we do now, because I did all tax law when I was working downtown. Out here in Aurora, we work with real people. We do estate planning, tax, real estate transactions, and family law. So practicing law out here, you really work with people, and you learn about your clients, and you really deal with real life issues. So that's kind of brought a new side of me out, in terms of being with society, really seeing the problems that society's facing,
Right.
whether it's legal or just things that are happening in their personal life, so you can kind of build and learn from those experiences,
Right.
And then along the way of law, I always wanted to do Second City improv classes. And I never had a chance to, because I was never in downtown and I never had the time. And then finally, I got into Second City, and I took all the improv classes that you could take. And, it just brings a whole new perspective to life, because you take all the things that you've done in your life and you can apply them to improv. And every scene you do is always unique, and then you think of new ideas. And you can use improv in your daily life as well.
How?
Everything you do is improv. If you go to the grocery store and you're asking for the price of a lemon, you can ask it in a fun way, or you can ask it in a serious way, depending on what's going on in your mind. Right now, we're improving. Right now, we don't know what's going to happen the next 10 minutes, right? We could be talking about our favorite vacation. I don't know yet. But, I don't know where this conversation, But anyway, improv is cool because it really just makes you comfortable in any situation. You're doing things in front of other people, different scenes in front of other people that you don't know, that you're just getting comfortable with. A lot of people don't like public speaking, and I love public speaking, but it's also a nerve-wracking thing to deal with because you want to put a good presentation out there for people, and you want them to learn something. And in improv, you want them to laugh. But if you go into a scene wanting people to laugh, it doesn't come out the way that you want it to, as if you just go in with an open mind and just let it just form out of nothing.
It's kind of genuine.
The
flow.
genuine
Yeah.
approach,
Okay.
right? You don't want to just go in trying to get a laugh.
Right.
I feel that's what most good improvers will tell you. Like, just go in with an open mind, just feel out the scene, and just let something happen. And sometimes it's a flop, right? People will
Right.
just stare at you.
Right.
And then once in a while, you'll just get like a really great laugh,
Yeah.
and then that gives you the energy.
Does improv help you more with law, or does it vice versa? Does law help you more with the improv, your experience in the courtroom, being in front of people?
It definitely helps you in the courtroom, in the sense you can prepare as much as you want for a case that you're going to do in the morning. You can read your notes. You can have bullet points of what you want to tell the judge. You have no idea what your opposing counsel is going to say. If your clients come with you, you have no idea what their temperament is or how anxious they are. So you're dealing with that type of situation. Then you don't know how the judge is going to react to what you're saying or what the opposing counsel is saying. You could go in to a case thinking that it's going to go a certain way, and it goes the exact opposite way. Or vice versa. You may think it's going to go a certain way, and then it goes in your favor. So I think improv allows you to stay focused on what you're trying to do and keep an open mind. So that helps. But now how law helps acting is that you have to stay very organized with your case, right? You have to make sure you get to court on time, just like an audition. If you're what do they say? If you're on time, you're late.
Oh, if
Like,
you're
you
early,
wanna-
you're on time. If you're
Yeah.
on time, you're late. Yep.
Exactly. So, every time I have an audition, I try to get there 15 minutes early just to feel it out
Yes.
even in the room.
Yes.
Sitting in the room, there's 30 other actors that may be auditioning for the exact same role that you're auditioning for. You can usually tell if they're auditioning for the same role if they're dressed the same way.
Right.
So if there's like 4 different audition rooms, but you're auditioning for the role of a teacher, maybe they're all wearing like a suit and tie or something, so you know
Right.
exactly who's. So if you get there early, you can kind of like veg for a little bit, kind of think about what you're going to do, relax, and then you go in there.
Hmm.
And then it's kind of like going up in front of a judge. The people who are watching your audition, they just kind of stare at you, but you don't focus on them. You focus on what you're doing. But it's kind of the same thing. They're the judge, and they will decide whether you get the role or whether you move on to the next audition. So
Interesting.
Yeah. Growing up, what impact did your mom have on your life?
oh man, my mom's had a humongous impact on my life. I always talked to her about her journey from India to the United States because back she came here in 1980.
Mhm.
There was no way to FaceTime your family. There was no way to just call. I call I work with my mom on a daily basis, but she couldn't contact her family. She's a big family, a lot of love in the house. They're very tight knit. She couldn't call every single day or FaceTime or write emails. So I'm like, man, it had to have been tough on you. So her resiliency, I always think about that. If I'm ever having a tough day, and when I say tough day, maybe I worked until 7 p.m. or something, or
Right.
maybe I had an audition that didn't go well. But her tough day was moving to this country knowing no one, making it with zero. Moving to this country, there's no support, just my mom and my dad. It's not like she could call her mom
Right.
and ask them for support, her dad for support. It's just they had to survive here on their own. And that when I feel like quitting or like giving up, I'm like, there's no way I can do that because they didn't come here for me to give up or to quit or to put in 50%. She expects 110% for me and my sister.
Right.
That's probably where everything rubbed off on my sister, and then it rubs off on me.
Right.
So she every day, whatever she's doing, it's 110%. There's no complaining. There's no shortcuts. You just do what you have to do, and you accomplish your goal. So, sometimes, with an acting script, sometimes it can take hours and hours to memorize lines and perfect them and rehearse. But, she did a PhD, so that her educational background as well has rubbed off on us. So that work ethic that I've seen from her, just viewing her and then
Right.
her interacting with me and the support that they've given me and my sister, I try to apply that into our law practice. And then just, with the acting interest, every role that I get, I make sure that I always put in the 110%. So you never want to have a regret with an audition, or like, did I do something is there something I could have done more that I did not
Could have
do?
done better. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's just all encompassing. Basically the bottom line is, do your best, be able to be kind of like self-sufficient, and have empathy for other people. It's not just about you, right?
Right.
We're all in this together. So if somebody's in need, you have to help them. If somebody's contacting you, give them a call back and talk to them and see what's
Right.
on their mind. I think that's really important too, because sometimes you get caught up in your daily life and all you do is just think about yourself, right?
Yep.
What do I have to do
Mhm.
today? What am I going to eat for breakfast? But what about your friend, your family member who you haven't talked to in a while? Just reach out, and that's what she does all the time. So she's probably like a cement block in our family.
Yeah.
But I mean, my dad's the same way. They're both really strong people, and if I come to them with an issue, they're just like, it's not really a big deal. So you solve it. Like to them,
you got
our
this.
issues.
You got this.
Yeah.
Yeah, to them, our issues are nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
what they've overcome.
You can't get this Hamlet audition with them. Yeah, this is nothing.
Yeah, it's like it's to them, it's no big deal.
I think your parents did install, and your mom instill rather, a great work ethic in both of you. When we interviewed Monica and listed everything that she's into, it's obvious. Like, you guys are always hitting the decks running, doing a lot of stuff and helping the community out at the same time. So that work ethic that your sister has is definitely, and your mom has definitely melded into you.
Definitely.
Made you a
And
good
I
brother.
think being around them so much, it's kind of a unique experience because some people don't get to see their brother or their sister in years sometimes, or they go
Right.
months without speaking. But we're privileged. It just so happens that we're all just so close together, and I work with my sister on a daily basis. So her influence continues to just keep rubbing off on me. My mom's influence continues to keep rubbing off on me. So
Right.
I really count my blessings that we're able to do that.
Now, you were born and raised in Naperville.
Mhm.
How'd you make the transition from Naperville to Aurora?
Well, as it so happens, actually, I did work at the Outlet Mall one time in college. So
You did?
I did work, yeah.
Okay.
So, growing up, being in Naperville, we didn't come to Aurora too often, but I did work at the Outlet Mall. So we'd come to the Outlet Mall. So my sister met Gary, Gary Piccone, who's been practicing law for over 40 years in Aurora. And, I've worked with him now for 4 years. He has been helping different generations in Aurora. So he worked with the parents. Now he's working with their kids or like their grandkids. So we'll get a call randomly to sell a house or do an estate plan, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I used to work with their parents 30 years ago, and these are their kids now."
Right.
So it's interesting. He's probably seen a huge transition in Aurora. So my sister met Gary, and then they started a law firm here in Aurora. And then in 2016, my mom had an idea. She's like, "You know what? Why don't you come work with your sister?" And I had a good job in downtown. I'm like, why would I leave downtown? I love downtown, living in downtown Chicago. There's a lot of cool things to do. I love the city, the hustle and bustle.
Right.
My mom's like, I really think it'd be a great thing for you to do to kind of pave your own way and, learn a lot about the law.
Right.
And so then my sister's like, you know what, you should come join. And to be honest with you, practicing law here and doing work downtown, I knew nothing about what I was going to do. I mean, I had the knowledge base, but even going to court, I had no idea that it was a structured thing that lawyers had to do. They had to talk a certain way in front of a judge. I mean, I took trial advocacy in law school, but what Gary and my sister do on a daily basis, I really didn't know what I was going to be doing per se until I actually got there, and they taught me everything. And now I've been working in Aurora since 2016, and I've seen that it's a really tight-knit community. The downtown Aurora area is already growing so much in the last 4 years. So many good restaurants. Gillerson's, they have a really good burger. So I've been there a couple of times.
Amazing food, drink. Yeah, that's one
and
of my
I think
favorites.
people put a lot of pride in this city.
Yeah.
And working with a lot of our clients are from Aurora because we get a lot of clients around our office. So we have people of different educational backgrounds, different ethnic, backgrounds, and everyone's just trying to get relief, or they're looking for if somebody calls our office, right? They may have a problem in a negative way that they need help with, or they just need help of a legal expert, who can help them in their area. So it's cool that we're able to provide services for them where you can start the case, explain to them what's going to happen, or try to give them a little bit of insight.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, that case comes to a conclusion and they're satisfied with what happens. If we're selling their house or helping them buy a house, or unfortunately if they get divorced, or if we're writing their will and their trust, right, planning for the future. And everyone comes to us at a different point in their life. But, Aurora provides us with a really good client base, and there's so many opportunities here.
Right.
So, now that I've been here for 4.5 years, I feel like I've really gotten to know the city well. And I think the city is going to continue to grow.
Definitely.
The sky's the limit, really, on what can happen.
Not only is the sky the limit, but I think that one thing that we have seen in regards to Aurora is that even with the pandemic and everything and Aurora shutting down, development has still managed to continue, so that spark has not diminished. You know what I'm saying? It's still going on. A friend posted some pictures yesterday on Facebook of the bridge going from River Street across to what will be River Edge Park.
Yes.
It's completed. Nobody's walking across it yet, but it's completed. Downtown, the corner of Broadway and Galena, that huge building is going to be luxury apartments, so that's coming along. So things are, sky is still the limit for us, even though the pandemic did slow things down.
Definitely. I mean, the pandemic has definitely put a wrench. I mean, it's a really odd time in history right now, right? Everyone's trying to figure things out. Prayers to all the people who've lost a loved one or who's been affected by it. But I think everyone's trying to figure it out. And I feel like we're such an adaptive society that everyone is figuring it out in some way. It may take a while, but we're all resilient, you know? And there's a lot of really intelligent people in society, And then as time goes on, everyone just figures out new ways to get back to business or
Right.
get back to their daily life.
Now, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I think Aurorans, it's funny you mentioned your mom. I think a lot of them have that same philosophy where it's just deeply rooted in, family, work ethic.
Definitely.
And, that's not a problem. We will, get through this.
For sure.
How has COVID changed the world of an attorney? How's your profession in that way?
When we first heard about the lockdown, we were all kind of wondering what to do. I would say for the first month that we all went to lockdown, our phone did not ring very much. And I think everyone was just in shock. We were
like, is this thing working? What the
yeah,
hell?
I mean, we didn't even know if we should just stay at home and just work from home, or if it was even safe to work in our office, even though there's no one in our office. It's just the four of us.
Right.
Because I think everyone just had no idea what was happening. So the court was completely shut down. So any attorney who relied on in court, like criminal attorneys and family law attorneys, and we do family law, those cases were all just put on hold. So some law firms had to furlough their attorneys because there was no revenue at a certain point. So my sister, me, and Gary, we were talking about what we could do to offer a service right now. Like, what can we do for people that doesn't require them to come to our office? Like, what skills can we use? And then we actually ended up creating an estate planning seminar. And from where my parents are in India, we're from the state of Maharashtra. So we're Marathi. So that's our cultural background in India. There's a bunch of different states in India, and they're all unique. They all have different languages and different cultures. So in the Chicagoland area, there's a big Marathi community. So my sister and we actually put together a PowerPoint presentation and gave an estate planning seminar virtually over YouTube to about 500 people.
Wow.
And through that, it opened people's eyes to what estate planning was, why you should draft a will, why you should have a trust, why you should have a power of attorney for healthcare and property. Some unique instances. So as COVID progressed, we would receive phone calls for people who did not have a power of attorney for healthcare or property, whose loved one was on a ventilator in the hospital.
Wow.
And at that point, you have to do a guardianship. So we were getting calls for emergency guardianships. So that's kind of where the twists and turns were taking us, like in May and June. But we ended up drafting many, many estate plans for people. And then we figured out how to do them virtually. So we could actually draft the estate plan, send it to them, and do the signing, over Zoom.
Right.
And so that really worked in people's interest, because they didn't have to come to our office and leave their house and interact in that way.
Right.
But I think as time has progressed, everyone's adapted, right? So the first 2 months, we did a lot of estate plans. The real estate transaction market was pretty much dead. If you're a criminal law attorney, there were no court cases. So no one was committing crimes, really.
Right.
I mean, not that you don't want people to commit crimes, but
Everyone's staying inside.
one of our
Can we get some
Something.
crime here? What the
yeah,
hell?
like, hey, go outside and do
Yeah.
something so we can go back to court. But if there's no court cases, then criminal law attorneys, traffic attorneys, things of that nature,
Sure.
they can go to court and earn their living.
Right.
And you never thought that would ever happen. When you're practicing law, you're just happy to get the case, right? But you never thought the courts would just shut down. It was an unfathomable event.
Yeah.
And then when they did, then the courts had to come up with new ways to resume cases. And now you can do everything on Zoom. So now every courtroom has a Zoom link that you can log into to speak with the judge. And then the judge sees both attorneys on the call, and then they'll call your case.
Right.
So now the courts have adapted too. And now we're all on Zoom. So now we're doing court appearances on Zoom.
Who would have thought, right?
Yeah.
Who saw that coming?
No one.
Yeah.
But with the technology that we have, we can actually do that.
Right.
The one drawback is, and I was talking with Monica last week about this, is that you don't see your friends in court anymore. My sister is actually really social with other attorneys, and I try to be as well. And after your court case, you see your other attorney friends in court. You talk to them, see how they're doing.
Right.
But now that no one's going to court, rarely, you don't see that as much. So that you kind of lose that collegiality.
The time is now 8:36 a.m. and you're listening to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast, and we're glad to be joined by Ameya Patankar. All right.
Do you do probate? This is a question from.
Yes, we do
Okay.
probate. So we always get unique situations with probate. Some people have a will, some people don't have a will. We've had, same-sex marriage probate cases. So we get a wide variety. And then sometimes they have a lot of different heirs, so then they get in conflict. But yes, we do probate. They're very unique cases. Obviously, the estate is there because somebody has passed away, which is obviously sad. But those are very interesting cases. They always have unique situations in all of them. But we do those. So
Very cool. So now let's get into some more acting. Let's get into what you're into and
Sure.
some projects and some things going on. Let's get the tea pouring.
Yeah.
All right. So first, I'd like to say that what I like about you and what I've always liked about you is that you look like a great TV lawyer. And you are a lawyer.
I'm ready
And
to play
that's
one.
the cool. That's
like
the thing about
Law
you.
and
that-
Order. He could
Seriously,
be like one of those
yeah.
regulars on
That's
there.
the thing I've always liked about you, my brother. Like, yo, he looks like a straight up TV, like scene one, Ameya, but he's actually really a lawyer. I told you the two pictures I like of you: the one where you're reading Cranes in that shot, and the one where you're looking like a doctor for that commercial.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, last summer, my sister and I were cast as doctors in a commercial here in Aurora for a VNA Healthcare.
Okay.
So we shot that at a variety of places around Aurora, and it's really interesting how, the scenes that you see in a commercial. So it may look like a hospital, but you're actually walking down the hallway in an office building or in a school. So it's really interesting how they find locations to shoot different commercials. So they make it look like you're somewhere when you're actually not even close to where you are. But that was a cool experience. That was the first time my sister and me were able to act together in the same commercial,
Very cool.
even though we shot it on different days. No, actually, we were there one day together, but it was a really cool experience. Being able to speak on camera is an honor. It's really cool because you get to analyze that line or the lines that you have and kind of bring it to life, right? You get to bring that character to life. So that was pretty cool. And the interesting thing about acting is they really, if a casting director looks at you, they're going to see what characters can this guy play. So I hate it that it's so stereotypical, but typically when I get an audition, it'll be for like a professional character, like somebody wearing a polo shirt or a dress shirt or with a tie.
Right.
So hence the doctor role,
Yeah.
or like an office guy or something. Like I'll get
Right.
auditions for that.
Typecast.
So
Yep.
that's how it works.
Now, Nathan's Hot Dogs. Let's talk about that. What's happening with that?
No, it's so in all these auditions, there's a lot of companies put out different auditions for stuff. So basically, they do a casting,
Okay.
and then they'll probably cast 50 to 100 actors.
Okay, so it's casting.
It's just
Excuse me.
casting.
Excuse me. Okay.
Yeah, and basically they just put it. They put a casting. They see what actors. They give you a script. This is pretty much the general audition. They'll send you a storyboard or a script, and then you get you analyze the script, the storyboard, kind of give it your spin. There's really there could be a wrong way to do an audition if you're just so off, but usually it'll say how the character is. Like, it's a 30-year-old male. He's enthusiastic about the product, but he's also clumsy.
So you have
then
to make
would-
it your own kind of thing. Is that
yeah,
it?
so you look at the description and then you make it your own, and you give it a direction and you go for it. And that's how these work. There's really there could be a wrong way, but in the right direction, there's no real right direction. It's not like a math problem. You
Right.
just interpret your script and give it a shot. And the only drawback is they never give you feedback. Rarely, maybe 1% of the time. And you never hear, if you don't get it, they don't tell you you don't get the role. They just never contact you. So that's the one thing that when I got into this industry, the first couple of auditions, I'm like, all right, okay, I didn't get it, but maybe they'll tell me something, they'll give me some feedback, and then you just never hear back.
Okay.
And then I'm like, okay, so that's the way this industry works, is that usually you do the audition and you just forget about it. So now when you turn in an audition, I just forget about it. And then, hey, if you get some contact from them saying you're on hold means that save the date, but you're not in yet. Once they say that you got the role, then you have the role.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how it works.
So it's
That's how it
exactly
works.
like how they show it. You'd be like, all right, thank you for coming. Next.
Little when your audition is over, you're out. There's no pleasantries. Maybe they say thank you. That's it, and you just walk out
Wow.
and you go on with your day.
Woo.
Yeah, on the way there,
Humbling.
Yeah.
if you guys ever watched those shows on NBC, PD, fire, or med.
Mhm.
I've gotten a couple of speaking auditions for those. So I remember going into those rooms. Sometimes it's the director of an episode. Sometimes it's a casting associate, which
Right.
is like somebody who works in the agency, and sometimes it could be the head of the agency. They all have a different technique. You know, when you walk into the room, there's a mark on the floor. You step onto the mark, and they'll just say, go. And then you just do your lines. It could be 1 line, 5 lines, 8
Right.
lines. And then maybe they'll give you a second chance. And then after that, you just walk out.
Damn.
And you just never hear back unless they want you. Then
Right, right.
Um,
What's the toughest casting call that you've been on? What's the one that like kind of sticks with you?
I would say anything that I've done for network TV.
Okay.
Those are the toughest. I would say those are the toughest because you don't know exactly what they're looking for, but it's also the high stakes, right? Because it's on national television.
Right.
And everyone who's coming to the audition, they're also really, really talented because they wouldn't be calling you if you didn't have, something to offer, right,
Right.
in that role. So I think, like I said, when you walk into that room, all the other people you're auditioning with is in that one time slot, so you see them all, right? So it's a psychological battle because you're thinking about, well, you don't want to do this, but you're thinking about what are these other people going to be doing too? Like, how are they going to portray the character?
Right.
But then you have to focus on yourself.
Right.
You have to be like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in there, do a confident job. I've already memorized these lines. I already know what I'm doing. Get in there, do it. But you want the role, right? I mean, you just want the role.
You do.
But you have, I guess the wrong thing could be to keep thinking about getting the role. You have to just do a good job in that audition first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that goes to highlight the point that you made about getting there early, seeing who
Definitely.
else is there, getting the flavor, getting the temperature of the room. Like, okay, what am I up against in here? What they looking like? Okay, that goes a long way to preparing yourself.
Yep. And I think for what I've realized for me is that doing a wide variety of different types of acting. So I never did theater before until this year. So now I've gotten into theater because that's live. So for me, doing theater or doing auditioning for a commercial or even a TV show, all those different experiences then help you in that next audition, right?
Right.
It's like, oh, this is what I did wrong last time. Let me correct that and do it this time.
What are you doing in theater now?
So right now, I was fortunate enough to be cast as a role of Scrooge in the play The Christmas Carol.
Hey,
You
hit a round of
So,
applause for that. That's big. I'm digging that.
I've seen there's so many movies on The Christmas Carol. At the Goodman Theater, they have the yearly show, The Christmas Carol, which is my favorite play holiday play.
Yeah.
And probably might be one of my favorite plays. Or my favorite play. But it's really cool. So right now we're doing virtual productions because people can't gather in a theater. But it's really cool. The Christmas Carol is such an iconic play. And there's a lot of lessons in The Christmas Carol
Absolutely.
for the character Scrooge. And so right now I'm basically memorizing the lines. I'm reading the scenes, memorizing the lines. But what we're gonna start rehearsing in about a week or so. It's through the McKinnich Arts Center at College of DuPage.
Okay.
They have a really great theater program there. So many of their students go on to a 4-year university for theater, or like a master's in fine arts,
Right.
and then they probably become professional theater or directing. So the College of DuPage is a really great place to start your career in theater. I think the heating or air conditioning.
That's never
is
happened
good.
before.
But
Improv.
yeah, no, that kicked in. So there's 3 really great theaters at College of DuPage, and it's so professional over there. They have lighting, stage production. The costumes are amazing.
Right.
The directors, the teachers there are amazing. It's a great place. So it's a great place to learn how to do theater. So earlier in the year, I was cast as Professor Plum in Clue.
Oh.
So if you guys ever seen the movie or played the board game, I really, really enjoyed, working on that production because Professor Plum is this quirky character. He's a professional, but he also has like a fun demeanor to him as
Right.
well, which really resonated with me. The cool part about that was that was pre-COVID. So the anticipation was that we were going to be performing this on stage in a theater with 180 people.
Right.
And so around March, when COVID finally came out, we had started rehearsing on stage. So we were doing our dress rehearsals and rehearsals on stage. and then unfortunately, they had to cancel all of our performances.
Right.
And that was my first theater experience. I literally, I sat down. I really learned all the lines in that play. It was such a great experience. I was so excited to perform on stage. And, it's one of the disappointments, as many people have faced.
Man,
One of the things that I faced was getting the whole play canceled. You
that
know?
sucks.
That does.
Yeah,
It did suck.
Yeah, I saw some pictures of it with the. I think that you posted with the other cast members and everything. The stage set up, the costumes and everything.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I remember putting my costume on. It was awesome. It had a bow tie with the suit, the hat. He was dressed like a professor, kind of like
Right.
a lawyer.
Yeah.
And so we were able to do our pictures for the promos and things like that. And we were able to do a couple of stage runs of it, and then eventually it succumbed to
Yeah.
the pandemic. But now theater has gone all virtually now. So now so this summer we did a virtual performance where we actually wrote our own play and then performed it virtually through College of DuPage and McKinnich Arts Center. It was called Every Day's a Zoom's Day. So it basically, looked at a family from phase 1 through the pandemic through phase 3 about how they adapted to the different situations that occurred over the summer. So that was really cool because we all used improv from our own personal experiences to create different scenes in that play.
Right.
So with theater, now everyone's adapting. Now you're creating your own plays. You're doing everything on Zoom. But you can still create a nice production through Zoom. It's just a little different.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a small stage now.
It's a small stage, but now I guess people don't have to go anywhere
Right.
They
Right.
can watch it at home. So this one, for Christmas Carol, it'll actually be shown virtually 3 days in November.
Okay.
So all people have to do is go to the College of DuPage McKinnich Arts Center website,
Right.
and then there'll be a link there that will come up eventually, and then you can just stream it at home.
What's
That's
some
really
of your greatest accomplishments and moments in acting?
I think, one of the really cool experiences I had was shooting a student film, a short film at Cinespace, which is where, so it's a big movie lot, or it's a big, production lot in Chicago,
Right.
where they shoot a lot of the big TV shows that are shown nationwide. But DePaul University actually has 2 sound stages there, where they're actually able to use those for their own productions.
Right.
So that was a really big treat for me because I'd been there before, but this time I was the lead in a film. And it was cool because we had a real set with awesome lighting, and we had a big production crew too. So we had the boom mic and the photographer. They had a behind-the-scenes cameraman.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a really cool experience to see exactly what it's like to be the lead person in a film where everyone's kind of like getting the lighting right for you and all the props and everything.
Yeah.
And it was just awesome because everyone puts such a big emphasis on the production, right? There's so many roles that need to be filled on the set, like a makeup person, the set person, the lighting people, the mic person, the director, the cameraman.
Right.
So that was a really cool experience in acting, But I think being cast as Scrooge, the director putting their faith in me. Now that I've kind of built a rapport over there based on past experiences, I think it's going to be a really great role for me to interpret. And playing Scrooge is such an iconic
Yeah, it is.
character.
It is.
And the transitions that he makes throughout the performance from a grumpy, greedy individual to
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Ebenezer
Yeah, it just
Scrooge.
sounds like a greedy
Yeah.
jerk.
Now you
And
can be
it-
the bad guy.
Yeah, it's just the way that. But then you realize that the way he grew up and the experiences that molded him into who he was.
Mhm.
But then he's able to redeem himself, which
Right.
is nice.
Right.
And that's the way it's a nice way to end that story, right?
Yeah. Very cool. Now tell us what you've got. Shout out social media. How can folks find you, contact you?
Yeah, sure. I'm on Instagram, so my Instagram handle is the Ameya Patankar.
Word up.
So I try to put every time I do like some commercial or a film of some sort, I try to put it on Instagram so people can watch it and
Yeah.
hopefully enjoy it.
Yeah.
I guess it's every project's unique, so that's pretty cool. And then let's see. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much my social media. I mean, I'm on Facebook, but Instagram's my main
Right.
thing. I
And
don't know.
your
Is
law
that?
office, where's that located?
Oh, our law office is on Farnsworth.
Okay.
It's 1700 North Farnsworth.
Okay.
So we serve the Aurora community, Kane County. We serve that community, so we were always in Kane County Court doing
Okay.
cases there, and so it's definitely nice to have all these different things that are in our community.
Right.
Theater's so close, law is so close. You guys.
Yes. Yeah, we're here. We're here. Shout out. Now, what did we miss? Did we miss anything? Any topics to cover? I see you got
let's
notes. We
see.
love when guests bring notes. We love that. And you guys brought us donuts too, so y'all gonna get
We had to
you're
bring
gonna
you
get the
guys
double
donuts.
shout out for that.
We definitely want to bring donuts.
They brought us Dunkin', y'all. It was so cool. I think that one of the things that I like to rather one of the benefits to what you're doing is that you guys are keeping creativity alive, and I really like that. I like the fact that attorneys are also involved in the community and also like casting and auditioning for roles and things, are actors and actresses. I think that that's really cool. You know what I'm saying? I like that. I
Definitely.
like outside of the box people. You have to find a way to deal and get through the monotony of life, and I like it. Like, you guys are inspiring.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to have that outlet, and people can have any outlet. For me, it's just acting. I think it just brings that creative spirit. When I was growing up, I was so shy. In my third grade play, I didn't even want to go on stage. But acting's actually in our blood. So my uncle was in the movie Gandhi. He was a
Really?
professional actor. My dad's
Wow.
brother was a professional actor. He was in the movie Gandhi.
Mhm.
He had a speaking role. He has his own IMDb page. I don't even know who made it, but he has an IMDb page. He's actually ahead of me.
Yeah.
And then my grandparents had a traveling theater company in India.
Mhm.
And I never met my dad's parents, but I feel like it may run in my blood. Because at some point, I just got this bug where I wanted to perform for people. And the cool thing about that is that you want to make people happy.
Yeah.
So the performance you do, if you can entertain them or put a smile on someone's face or let them forget about whatever problem they're facing, that's kind of a cool thing to think about with entertainment or like acting, or like if somebody's a musician or something, just bringing something to people that they can enjoy.
Yeah.
Ameya, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A variety of things.
Really?
I
Name
mean,
some of them.
athlete,
Okay.
although I think at some point I realized that was not going to happen.
I can't see you catching no football.
You know, I
you
can
my
catch
man,
it,
but,
but not,
Yeah.
nobody can be guard. I have to just be there.
Right.
I think I love sports growing up, and I still love sports. So I actually wanted to be a broadcast journalist. So I actually, in undergrad, I emailed all the, in Urbana-Champaign, I emailed all the news stations, and I said, hey, I'd love to come work with you guys in the sports department to see what the sports guys do, or the sports broadcasters do. And ABC News Channel 15, those guys actually responded to my email. So my senior year of college, I actually got a crash course in sports broadcasting. So they actually took me on for an internship that first semester. So instead of partying with my friends and going out, I was sleeping. I was going to high school football games on Friday nights and keeping the timestamps of everything that happened at certain games so that we could put a reel together.
Right.
And then on Saturdays, I'd go to the U of I football games, and I'd do the same thing. Every play that happened, I would keep the time and, okay, touchdown or like 27-yard pass. So then we can go back and edit those. So I think broadcast journalism was kind of where I wanted to go. My parents are very traditional. So between seeing what they did in broadcast journalism and my parents' influence of being traditional, it kind of led me down the professional path. So I actually worked for 2 years as a data analytics consultant in Chicago, and then I went to law school. So I kind of took on that professional. At some point, I was like, okay, I need to be a professional of some sort, right? So I need to get, and then my sister went to law school. And then after she started practicing law, I kind of took an interest in what she was doing. It fits my personality, and it's very interesting for anyone who wants to become a lawyer, shadow an attorney just to see what they do. It's a very interesting career. It's also very stressful. So you have to balance all that out. You don't want to burn yourself out.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, growing up, broadcast journalist, sports athlete, maybe even a sports agent. But then you get a little more realistic on things that you can, maybe what's possible. Although anything could be possible. But then I have to support myself. I need a professional career.
Right.
But now that laws, now that our law firm's so established, then I could add on acting.
Right.
Which is cool.
Before we go, one last question for you. Is there anybody is there any role that you would really like to play? What's the role
Ooh.
that you like? Man, I need. If they cast me for that,
Well, I did think about this. I've thought about this, and I mean, there's so many cool movies that I've seen. So, in terms of like, if I played a professional role, I would really like to play a lawyer in a courtroom, giving like a dramatic monologue to a judge or a jury about why my client is innocent. So that would be cool. That would be one role that
Atticus Finch kind of.
just something where it's like dramatic,
Yeah.
where you really put emotions into it in a
Right.
serious way. I love the movie Star Wars growing up. So if it was like a sci-fi movie where you're playing a character, protagonist, antagonist,
Right.
I'll just, being in something like iconic. If I could get a role in an iconic movie that in the next 10, you shoot it and then 20 years from now, people are still talking about it.
Right.
Regardless of the role, just something like, an iconic movie like sci-fi, that would be cool. And then, in terms of like comedy, if it was like Office Space or like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, where all these different people create the movie, right? There's so many different unique characters.
Yeah.
So even if I was the receptionist at a restaurant, even that guy's, that 2 lines could be memorable, right?
Yeah.
Depending on how they treat the main character or whatever. I mean, the main character would be great too.
Right.
But there's all these different roles that you could play as an actor, like comedy, sci-fi, dramatic. So I mean, all those things, you want to try out your range, right? So, I mean, I've already thought about this. Yeah, I'd want to play all those different characters, but I'll take, it's one step at a time.
Right. The time is now 8:58 a.m. You've been listening to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast, and we've been speaking with Ameya Patankar. So the show ends on a positive note, as we know. What would you like for the people of Aurora to take with them today?
I think that if they're just waking up right now, just be thankful for today. Say thank you. It's going to be a great day. If there's something you want to do that you haven't done yet, put it on your to-do list and try to get it done today. And try to give some kind of positive affirmation to someone else.
Right.
Ask them how they're doing. See what they say.
Ooh, good.
Well, the second largest city's first daily news podcast had a great interview, and we appreciate all of you guys. And we'd like to say it's still Hunger Action Month. Please donate if you can to Marie Wilkinson's and Aurora Interfaith Food Pantry. Also, be sure to check out some of the downtown businesses and their carts for a cause and all the hard work that the artists have done on those. Shout out to Jen Ingram Art. And also be aware that on Friday, October 2nd, that's the first Friday, there's going to be, as I mentioned, 1904 at 1 East Benton. That is the gallery, and it's going to be the art show in conjunction with Diesel Arts, Roots Aurora, and the Aurora Public Art Commission. On behalf of Good Morning Aurora and our friends here, we want to say we hope you guys have a great day. Stay tuned for everything that Ameya has. And shout out the social one more time on Instagram.
The Ameya Patankar.
The Ameya Patankar. Check it out on IG.